Hi there, I'm Kate Good here at the Intrepid Museum. I am one of our aircraft restoration specialists. And if you've seen me before, you know the project that I'm working on is the starter cart for our A12. So what I'm going to be doing today is I need to sand this in order to be able to do paint. So as you can see, I've actually already started getting quite a bit done. This brighter yellow is where I've already sanded, and this duller yellow is where I'm going to be sanding. Today's PPE includes my safety glasses, this dust mask, and some earplugs because this is actually a pretty decently loud machine. The reason I'm not using my full respirator is because this specific sander actually has a vacuum function that takes away most of the dust, so I'm able to just use a dust mask. Any other sander, I would normally have my full face mask on to protect my eyes and everything else. So, yep.
Okay, first question, Kate.
Yes.
Where and when did Intrepid acquire the starter cart?
Ooh, that's a good question that I don't know the answer to whatsoever. Peter would and Eric would. I would actually need to look that up because I genuinely do not know. But we are one of the few museums that has a starter cart with their A12. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. The preparation that you're doing, is it like similar to what you would be doing to like a car, like panel, filler and things like that? Is that how it rolls?
Yes. This is very similar to what you would do for a car to do repaint or detail work. We also do these on the aircraft. When we have to repaint, you need to take down the old paint to actually make a rougher surface. Then we can put on primer, and then we can put on the paint so it lasts much longer.
So you're taking it down to metal?
Not completely to metal. This yellow is actually as far down as we need to go.
Okay.
Underneath here is more primer. You can kind of see where the dark spots are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do go down to metal depending on what we have to do.
Okay.
But for the most part, there's no reason to take it all the way down to the bare metal.
Okay. Okay. Question. So, is this the first time you're sanding this?
Yes.
This particular portion. What grit sander? Like, what's the process of going? Do you take it down?
So the grit that I'm using is 60, which is a pretty rough grit. But you want to try and use like the softest that you can use to get the paint off because you don't want to damage the metal. The whole idea to bring it down is not only to give you a rougher surface, but to even out imperfections in the old paint. So if I just painted straight over this dull color, it would be a disaster. The paint wouldn't stick very well, even with primer, and it would show every So last time this was rolled and brushed, and I plan to spray it this time around. So it would show every roller and brush mark that has been exposed over time from being outside in the elements. So frequently, you can feel when your pad is toast. So what you want to do is honestly change your pad as often as you need to. There's no reason to hang on to one for an extended period of time, because at that point you're not getting as effective of a stripping as possible. And it'll drive you nuts because you'll be like, why isn't this coming off correctly?
Question. How long have you been working on this project?
This got pulled in, I think, the day before I left for kind of a Christmas holiday. And then I started this officially mid-January, and have been working on it ever since. But we also obviously have different responsibilities that we have to do here at Intrepid, like you saw last week with dusting the space shuttle, that you'll also see next week. We got to do the other side. We are in charge of the barriers to the aircraft, so we need to make sure that all of those are sturdy. And we also need to check all of the chains and everything that keep our aircraft safely on our deck. So sometimes I get days where I don't even touch this, and other times I'm so excited to get a whole day that I can just push out a bunch of work on this. I hope to have it done at the end of this month. A lot of things have gotten in the way, so I think it will be done first or second week in April is my new goal. There was no timeline on this, but getting it out as soon as possible is the best option. I don't need to make repairs on anything. I don't need to do massive stripping of anything. I just need to really clean it up and sand and paint. I will replace the tires, but for the most part, this is actually one of our easier projects to do.
All right, we got a couple of questions. What is the function of a starter cart?
So the starter cart, especially for the A12, and these are used on other aircraft, including the SR-71 Blackbird. What this would do, it's got two big engines, and you would hook up a connector from the A12 engines to this. I don't know if you can see it from the angle that we're at, but that little box-looking thing, that lifts up, and on the inside is where that connector would go. You fire up the engines on here, and it gets the A12 started. It's such a large plane, and it's so specialized that you couldn't ignite it from the cockpit like you normally would on a regular airplane or helicopter. And these are actually, I'm trying to think of what would use it. These are actually still in use today. Essentially, think of it like a big jump starter on wheels. Yeah, so that would be something. In the future, you will see me, these open, obviously, and you'll see me cleaning and detailing the engines at one point in time. Another maintenance factor just to keep everything clean and well maintained. So we can continue to have a good product into the future. You said there was a second one again?
Yep. Just hold on just a second. If someone wants to become a restoration specialist, how does one become one?
Oh, wow. So my doing this was very roundabout. I knew that I had wanted to work on airplanes and spacecraft specifically. And I went to school for mechanical engineering and then decided that wasn't for me. Went to school for history, and my specialty was nuclear weapons of the Cold War. But while I was in school, I took the opportunity to go across the country to the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History, and I got the opportunity to work on refurbishing and restoring their missiles that were also outside. So I had the experience dealing with elements that had really weathered these artifacts. And that was in 2012, so almost a decade. And as I continued forward in my education, I realized this is really what I wanted to do, but it's very hard to get your foot in the door if you're not mechanical, if you're not certified for certain things, especially if you're not an A&P, which is an aircraft mechanic. And what I did, my husband and I moved here, and I started volunteering here in the shop about 4 years ago. And I worked my way up. I learned a lot of stuff on the job. I didn't know how to rivet before getting here. I didn't know how to use a big spray gun before getting here. And as I learned these things, my predecessor took a new job, and Intrepid offered me the position. So very roundabout and rambly to say I took a really weird path to get here. But you really can get into it in so many ways. It's really, do you have the passion, the drive, and the skill set? And do you have the endurance to really put yourself out there and look? I was rejected from many other jobs doing things like this because I didn't have a certification with a specific skill set. So having the privilege of being able to volunteer was really an excellent opportunity for me.
Okay, Kate, another question. During its time in service, how many roughly people would be in charge of the car? So what sort of crew would it take to run this kind of piece of equipment?
It would have been 3 or 4 people, depending. Now, the crew for the A12 to get that prepared is much larger than what would be for the cart. For the cart itself, it has a big tow bar, so they tow it over, and you'd need somebody to run the connection. You would need somebody to start it up and make sure that it was full of fuel, that it had everything that it needed. And the controls are actually in the back for how to adjust the engines, how to adjust the connection, and you would have, I would say about 3 or 4 people who were working on this to make sure that it got everything started appropriately. And then the ground crew was obviously just like any other airplane, much larger, to make sure that there was fuel, everything else.
All right, we have one more question and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
What is the next? What is next for this project, and when do you predict it will be completed?
So next for this project is I need to finish sanding. So that half on that side, you can't see it, but that's complete. So yeah, I need to finish sanding. If you were with me a couple of weeks ago and I had panels off, I've already replaced those panels because I was able to clean inside, make sure you could get some of the rust out and try and coat things so the rust wouldn't pick back up. We have very brackish air here. and the salt in the air is also just a disaster for things sometimes. I have all the hinges that can move. I need to clean and detail the engines. And then onward to priming and paint. And the last thing I will do is replace the tires, because I don't want paint on my brand new tires. So that should be the rest of the process. I don't think I'm taking anything else off. And this should be done, my hope is to have this done the second week in April, roughly. Like I said earlier, we have other just commitments around ship and the things that we take care of. So if something else takes priority, it'll take time away from this. But hopefully, that's enough time for me to get it done. So as Liam said, I'm going to wrap up here. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kate Good here at the Intrepid Museum, and we hope to see you soon. We open next week on March 25th. So we will finally, yay, be able to have visitors back. And next week, we will be back up on the shuttle, dusting and cleaning the other side that you saw last week. And that will be both me and Peter. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have a good day.